Speaking of hard movies to find, that's a perfect segue.
Okay, cool.
That is.
Dean, listen to you, Dean. Okay, there's a list that Salon came out with of the great lost or missing movies. These are movies that we'll never see, have never seen the light of day, or saw the light of day, and it was a very fleeting light, and now they're gone.
Right.
So, Jerry, have you seen this list?
No, please enlighten me, because I'm very curious.
Dean, you looked it over?
Yeah.
These are some interesting titles, and maybe we can come up with a few more. His first title here is Greed, which obviously you can get a hold of.
Right.
But there was, it was originally what, like a 9-hour cut or a 6-hour cut?
9 hours. Mm-hmm.
And that a lot of that footage no longer exists. So what Turner did was he used kind of, in those scenes that did not exist, he inserted the artist renderings or conceptual designs for the particular scenes that were missing.
Too.
To give an idea of
well.
to give an idea of where the movie was going. So that's one that the film is gone. But this is what's interesting about missing movies, and what's always so exciting to film fans when they turn up, because a lot of times they turn up in a garage sale, someone's attic. I mean, like random places that these masterpieces are found. So that's an exciting thing. So maybe somewhere that footage still exists, but it's a 1927 movie or 1924.
1924.
Yeah. But that's von Stroheim's. And it was a 4-hour cut that Turner put together to give a kind of rough approximation of his larger picture, I think. Alfred Hitchcock has a movie that's lost, and it was his second film called The Mountain Eagle, which he said he's glad isn't out there in circulation because he wasn't very proud of it.
Okay, wow.
But that's another lost film. Here's what he says about it. In conversations with Truffaut, Hitchcock said he was glad that no prints of this film, a silent melodrama set in Kentucky but shot in Austria. Now that's a leap right there.
That is a big leap.
You shoot in Vancouver to pass for New York, but Austria double for Kentucky. First of all, Austria has dental care, so I don't think that they could pass for.
They did where did they film Cold Mountain? Didn't they film that in something like Austria or something like that? Czechoslovakia?
Yeah, I think so.
And it was set in the South. So.
It didn't. The movie is nowhere to be found, and Hitchcock was happy about it. It's a 57-minute feature, and all that's left of it is still photos. The Great Gatsby from 1926. There's a trailer that still survives, but the movie itself is long gone. It's been eagerly sought by film historians for decades. This is a biggie right here, The Magnificent Ambersons, Orson Welles.
Yeah.
Original cut of The Magnificent Ambersons, which, this pisses off film fans, rightfully so. Orson Welles, I mean, he's at the top of his game, obviously. Everyone said that The Magnificent Ambersons could have been another Citizen Kane. It's very good as it is, but compromised. He left to do some movie out of the country, It's All True or something, and he left the editing duties to Robert Wise, who later became a director of note. And Robert Wise was told by the studio to cut it to be more kind of linear, and destroy the footage that he cut, so it could not be restored. Just another example of how they screwed over one of the greatest cinematic masters of all time. And that was his downfall. I mean, that's really what caused his big downfall post Citizen Kane. His very next movie, and it was because of Citizen Kane. I mean, he ruffled a lot of feathers, but what a great, gigantic and tragic kind of story Orson Welles is in Hollywood lore, isn't it?
Yeah, it is amazing. It's amazing that he was able to muster so much moxie to still make movies even after what happened to him with Magnificent Ambersons. Because that's the kind of thing that might have broken a lesser person. You know, that might have drummed them into a lifelong depression. But it's interesting to know that Robert Wise, according to the article here, that Robert Wise always insisted, I'm quoting, that Welles' Lost version, which was about 40 minutes longer and had a far more downbeat ending, was no improvement on the one you watch today.
Right.
Which also pisses off on film fans, because even though most people like Robert Wise and everything, I have at least one film fan friend that's like considers Robert Wise to be one of the great villains in movie making history. You know.
Sure. Yeah, and I can't say that I concur with that statement, but I can certainly understand it.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I mean, and who knows? I mean, with the passage of time, we all know Orson Welles was ahead of his time. That could be the cut that's the masterpiece, the 40 minutes longer.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they just didn't get it then, you know? So that's sad. But, man, astronomically talented. I mean, just,
And that movie is so ridiculously good until its last, 15 minutes. It's like, it's a fantastic movie up until, you can, even if you've never seen it, you can just tell, because some things are shot. Some parts of that last 15 minutes are shot by another director. They're not shot by Welles. They're shot by some person that RKO brought in to film, patch-up sequences and stuff. And you can feel the energy just come out of that movie. Like, you're like, hey, what happened to this movie? It was great. Now it's not so great. It's like, it's so sad. It's so sad.
Song of the South, the racist animated movie from Disney.
Like the racist animated movie.
Which you can still buy on VHS. Now. You can still buy on VHS in some circles, but for a lot of money for a VHS tape. But that's they buried that. Here's one that I didn't realize. Looking for Mr. Goodbar. It wasn't tampered with, the director's cut. It's just not available. Paramount has not made that movie available.
You know what I think it is about Looking for Mr. Goodbar? I bet, a lot of these movies that disappear, one of the big reasons that they disappear is because of music rights.
Mm-hmm.
And Looking for Mr. Goodbar has tons of music in it that I would guess that buying the rights to that music would be not economically viable for them to do and expect to recoup it on a release of the movie, because it's not a movie. It's a great movie, but it's not a movie that a lot of people are clamoring for. So I don't know that they would make their money back after they spent. It could go into
release it like Warner Brothers releases some of their specialty titles, like made to order. I mean, print it when someone orders it.
Yeah, but they still have to buy the music rights for these things.
Yeah.
And it's got, since it takes place in the bars, it's got tons of 70s music in it that was big back then. I don't know. I mean, I'm just guessing, but that's the only thing that I can think that would keep a movie like that from being released.
Well, it's sexually explicit, that movie. I mean, Diane Keaton. And I've never seen it. I remember seeing glimpses of it on cable when I was a kid. And Richard Gere turns out, he murders her. It's like I think Gere's suppressing it because he doesn't want that out.
Well, it's actually not Gere that murders her. It's actually Tom Berenger, isn't it? We think that Gere is going to murder her, but it's actually Tom Berenger that ends up murdering her.
Oh, Tom Berenger's in it? See, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, Tom Berenger is not sure if he's like a guy that's hitting on her throughout the entire movie, and she finally relents at the end, and he's kind of unsure of his sexuality, and I think she calls him gay at one point, and he gets kind of mad. So she finally relents at the last part of the movie and invites him over, and that's where the murder occurs. I remember seeing it at the drive-in when I was a kid, and I was fine with it, but my mother was absolutely sickened by the movie because the last 10 minutes of it takes place in her apartment, and it's lit by a strobe light. And it's quite shocking how it's shot, and it's a very good movie though. It definitely deserves to be released.
I didn't even know Tom Berenger was on the radar that early. I the earliest memory I have of him is Big Chill, which I know he worked before
isn't
that.
Also Mickey Rourke looking?
He is.
Yeah, looking for Mr.
Wow.
Goodbar. Yeah.
He is.
Well, you can continue looking for Mr. Goodbar because it's not available.
Right.
Yeah, we have a book downstairs in our library, but yeah.
Let It Be. Even with only 2 members of the Beatles still living, this made-for-TV documentary about the recording of the Fab Four's final album, featuring their last public performance, remains a casualty of the riffs that blew the band apart. Plans to remaster and re-release Let It Be, which hasn't been available since a poor-quality video release in the early 80s, have apparently been shelved, reportedly because the film and its outtakes are still seen as raising too many old issues.
Wow.
So there's
I think
Beatles.
that's something that we'll have to wait and see after all of the Beatles have shuffled off this mortal coil, because I seriously do not believe
here's hoping.
that. I don't believe. I think
no, we're not going there again. No.
that whole project was just so, especially the film part of it, because the music was fine, but it was the film cameras that really irritated them, and I don't think that they want to ever be.
Well, Paul McCartney is more youthful now than ever. I mean, he's still playing stadiums. He's nonstop energy. He's got a Showtime documentary airing in September. It's his 9/11 documentary, because he was in New York. His plane was on hold when the towers fell, and then he toured the rubble. And a week or a few weeks later, he did a concert there. And all these celebrity guests came in to do this charity concert, and the documentary covers that whole thing. So that's his commemoration of the 10th anniversary. That comes on Showtime in September. The Cook, the Thief, His Wife, and Her Lover. I do remember seeing this on VHS or on cable or something.
Right.
Still available, but it's hard to find.
You can watch it on Hulu. It's on Hulu right now.
It's not hard to find, as Dean said.
Yeah, Dean's watching it right now.
Yeah, why don't you watch
it? It's a great
it?
movie.
Just watch the trailer to it, Dean.
This Patrick McGowan movie, though, that's on there, I don't know at all. Catch My Soul. And
never heard of that either.
Yeah, I don't know at all. Wow.
Yeah.
It's got Richie Havens in it. That's weird.
Here's the big one.
This is like the Holy Grail of them.
This is absolutely the Holy Grail. The Day the Clown Cried.
Of course.
Jerry Lewis's Holocaust drama, which, man, and he will not allow. I mean, very few people have seen it. There is a copy, in England, that's been circulating. I read something by a guy, he posted a couple of months ago, that he actually traveled outside of the country, I think to England, and because he heard that this guy had it, and he convinced him to let him watch it. Jerry Lewis will not have anything of it. That's one thing. You can't mention 2 things around Jerry Lewis. He refuses to talk to you. He refuses to disclose why he chose MDA as his cause of choice, as his cause. And he refuses to talk about The Day the Clown Cried. It's like some major embarrassment for him.
Well, did you see this thing in that post? Harry Shearer has seen it, though?
Yeah, he saw it.
Yeah, he wrote
he's talked a lot
article for Premiere back in the last days of that magazine.
Right.
He wrote a big article in Premiere, basically telling the story of how he was invited to Jerry's mansion to come and see the only print of it, and so. And I'm sure that's available online somewhere, that article. I'm sure you can find that.
Heaven's Trash in the chat room said that the thing that I read about the copy in England was an April Fool's joke. It got me.
Okay.
Could it be possible that there exists only one copy of that movie in some form in Jerry Lewis's vault.
Yeah, that's
and
it.
Why does he have it in his vault if he never wants it released? I mean, why would he have it in his vault? Why wouldn't he just destroy it?
That's a really good question. Maybe he just can't bring himself to destroy something that he made. But
put so much into it. But there's another film that I'm curious if we'll ever get to see. Now, you could see it overseas. It was available on DVD overseas, and that's The Brave.
Oh, right.
Oh, that's the Marlon Brando, Johnny Depp movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one that Depp directed. I've seen that. I've seen that on a bootleg. It's not so great, but,
Is it as bad as people make it out to be, though? I mean...
It's not really that terrible. It's just sort of dull.
Okay.
It's not an embarrassment. It's just dull, really.
It's about Johnny Depp wants to leave money for his family, and so he agrees to die in a snuff film or something.
Mhm. That's right.
And Brando's the porn producer or the sleazy guy, or
is it better than Free Money? I'm serious.
I've never seen Free Money. I've never seen that.
And you keep it that way, but I mean.
It's not horrible, but it is a lost film. I wanted to.
They didn't get to finish it, did they?
No, they finished it. It's finished.
Oh, okay.
It's done.
Well, it is a curio because of Brando's involvement, it being one of the last things that he did.
Yeah.
That's why it's a curiosity for film fans.
Right.
There's a really great. If you go on Facebook. Since you were talking about this tonight, I thought I'd bring this up. If you go on Facebook and you friend us or you become a fan of this thing, I'm going to spell it. I don't really know how to say it. I'm going to try and say it after I spell it. But it's JAHNKE''S, Junkies. Junkies, if you look for Junkies Electric Theater and go on to look under the photos, he's got 3 really great albums, about 75 pictures are in each album. And each one of them is devoted to a movie that's not on DVD, or at least wasn't on DVD at the time that he made the albums. And he's got 3 of these albums, and they are filled with. They do have some movies that are just, kind of notorious bad movies, and that's why they're not available, like The Fish That Saved Pittsburgh and The Fiendish Plot of Fu Manchu. But he also has movies like Brewster McCloud and Drive, He Said, Dream Child.
Drive, He Said's available now.
Huh?
Drive, He Said is now available. Criterion.
Yes. Some of these are available. Like
right.
Brewster McCloud was released as an on-demand title. He's got things like The Doberman Gang and Santa Sangre by Joe Dworski. Yeah. Pretty Maids All in the Row, Trouble in Mind, Ishtar.
Trouble in Mind, is that this Sam Shepard?
Yeah. But
Ishtar needs a Blu-ray. When are they going to
Yeah.
release Ishtar Blu-ray? I'm sure that they're going to do it.
Also, like Lee Marvin and Monty Walsh with Jack Palance. I mean, who doesn't want to see that? They finally released The Outfit. Also,
I saw that on
Duvall
VHS
thing.
a long time ago. The Outfit.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of these have been on VHS. Definitely things like The Wrong Box and Meatballs Part 2,
right.
Things like that. But
I wasn't really screaming for Meatballs Part 2. I was sorry they ever made more. The first one was good. They ruined it after that. I didn't know there was a huge demand. Okay.
But,
that was the original title of The Godfather. Did you know that?
What?
Meatballs Part 2.
Yeah,
was the original title of The Godfather.
Right. Dude, you're right, man.
There's also, they got, 1,000 Clowns, which was a Best Picture nominee back in the mid-'60s. The Year That Punk Broke.
That's finally coming out on DVD in September, I think.
Right. And Skidoo, which is also coming out. That was one of the movies that they cited. But I think this this thing has been a little influential in a lot of ways, because some of these movies that he cites in these albums here have made it to either streaming or to on-demand, video pressings. But
I just want Madonna's "Who's That Girl" on Blu-ray. That's all I care. I want to see Madonna and Griffin Dunne get it on in high resolution. Another thing that'll never see the light of day, and we've talked about it to death on the show, so we don't have to continue it, but it works as a good segue, is Kubrick's unrealized. Well, the stuff that Kubrick chose to delete from his films, like The Shining, that'll never see the light of day. That was destroyed. So the entirely different ending to The Shining. And then, but they did recover, just like we said before, how they find all this stuff in different places. They did recover that 16 or so minutes of missing footage from 2001.
But that's never going to see the light of day, apparently.
In a salt mine or something?
In a salt mine in Kansas, I thought.
Yeah.
But they're not. They have no plans of releasing that stuff. So I
think it could pop up as an extra or something. I think you're going to see it.
Film. I'm at that page now.
Way down the line.
Dean, I'm at that page now, and there are a couple films on here. That are really good. But there's a great Alan Rudolph film, Welcome to L.A., one of the best.
Yes.
And that when is that gonna come?
Yeah, Kubrick's Fear and Desire.
Yeah. Another one they have is Electric Dreams, which is very
Virginia
popular.
Madison. That's a popular movie. Yeah.
Popular movie of a very popular cult sleeper movie when it came out.